Hi guys, and welcome back to I'll Read What She's Reading. I'm Mikayla.
I'm Reggie.
And I'm Kennedy.
And today we're discussing all things Serpent and the Wings of the Night.
Ooh.
So we're going to be discussing the first book, the novella, 6 Scorched Roses, and the second book. So if you have not finished the entire... I know there's going to be more books, but if you've not finished those 3 books, I would come back after you have.
Yes.
So...
Yeah. Isn't it called... The duology, isn't it called the Crown of Nyaxia? Nyaxia, however you say the goddess's name, right?
Yeah.
In the back of the book, it says there's going to be 3 more books.
Yeah. I think they're in the same world.
With the same people?
With the same people.
What?
Yes. I read the back of the book and she said it's coming spring, summer 2024 for the Night of the Nyaxia. However you say it.
Oh, okay. See, I know. I read Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which is set in the same world. It's just the House of Blood.
Yeah, and that one says it's only
but it doesn't have the same
one.
Characters. Yeah.
That's the only book from that series. It's only a one-off.
So we're getting more.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, it makes sense because it ends
yeah
telling you that there's going to be more to come.
Yeah.
There's 2 things.
I just don't know why I didn't catch that from Carissa's Instagram, which I gotta go look at now. So
well, regardless, we're talking about Serpent in the Wings of Night, 6 Scorched Roses, and Ashes in the Star-Cursed King today. And I'm very excited about it.
I'm just so glad you both have finally read it so we can really talk about it, because Mikayla just barely finished Ashes in the Star-Cursed King this morning.
I did.
So
can I give my little precursor to maybe some people who are still tuning in that maybe haven't read it? Can I give you my word of advice? And you guys we can discuss this if we want. I personally think you should read six Scorched Roses after the Ashes in the Star-Cursed King.
I think you should read it first.
in the middle?
Like just not in between them?
No, before all of them.
Okay. I personally did not enjoy reading it in between the 2 for a multitude of reasons. Number 1, I felt like it kind of cut the momentum from the first book to the second book. And if you haven't read these books, now's your time to leave. Sorry, here comes a spoiler. I also feel like I wanted more Vale.
Mm-hmm.
I was so disappointed that I didn't get his perspective in the second book. And I also think that had you not had that insight about Vale, you maybe would have thought that he was the one that was betraying Rain. You wouldn't have known that Vale was this really he was in love with Lilith, because in the second book, Rain thinks that Vale isn't truly in love with Lilith, and he thinks that he's the one who betrayed him. But in you as the reader knew that wasn't true.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes it's fun knowing things that the characters don't know.
Yeah.
But I am personally just not a fan of reading things after they've already happened, if that makes sense. Because if you would have read it at the end, you would have been like, oh, they already end up together. She dies, becomes a vampire, and they go.
Good point.
So
Good point.
I don't know. It's tricky. I really loved the novella. I just feel like it made it lose the steam for the second book for sure.
100%.
I don't know if there's a better way to go about it, and maybe reading it in the middle is
the only way
to go about it. But it kind of sucks, when you kind of lose your momentum from the first book to have to read a novella where it kind of takes you into a completely different time, a different place and different characters.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like she didn't even really use Vale and Lilith that much in the second book.
Yeah,
they were in there,
more.
But they were there for, out of the huge book, they were there for maybe 10%. They weren't really that involved.
Well, I saw someone comment on TikTok that they hope to see more of Vale and Lilith's perspective in the next books.
I would love that.
So
too, because there were a lot of times in the second book where I was like, where is Lilith?
Yeah.
She had 2 lines in the whole thing.
Where did she go? Plus they show up and they're married in the second book. Mm-hmm. I want to know the kind of the little marriage part, because we didn't really get
You never get the marriage.
You never get the marriage. Except for when they hate each other.
You did get Rain. and
Yeah, but they
Araya.
hated each other.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be married. I
Yeah.
want to see. See, I've read books where it's like a forced marriage trope, and they obviously don't like each other, but you never get to see like the actual happy people who want to be married. Most forced marriage tropes, they always end up loving each other at the end, most of the time. And I'm like, you never get the people who actually like are super excited, like they love each other and want to get married. And it's like, we were married 2 weeks later and it was a beautiful day. And that's it. That's all we got.
Yep.
Yeah, give us more, please.
We want the marriages. Just give us a little novella of some marriages, please.
I guess I got into it and I was like, oh, did I miss that in the novella? Like, am I dumb and missed that they were married? But no, it just like happened.
I assumed it happened on the boat while they were.
Yeah.
I don't know if they came on a boat, but I pictured them coming on a boat.
Thought she was on her
Yeah.
sick bed.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Sorry, that was a tangent.
that was a tangent.
No, I think it's a good thing to start off with, because some people I know have been confused on like, wait, do I start with this? Do I start with, yeah.
But on Carissa's website, she does say that you're supposed to read it in between the two.
Yeah.
So maybe
I didn't
they're.
mind reading it in between.
The second book was so hard for me to get into. It took me 200 pages of however long the book was for me to actually finally be like into the story. And I vividly remember updating my Goodreads at the point where she finally forgives Rain, and it was 53% of the book. And I'm like, I get it. You're mad at him. He killed your father. I kept trying to picture myself like what I would do in her shoes, whatever, but it just felt like she was so insufferable the first 40% of the book that I just kind of was like, okay, like, I know you're gonna get back together, just like let's go. But
Yeah, it took a little too long.
And then
I remember the beginning feeling slow too.
here's my other problem. I'm like, the beginning of the second book felt so slow, and then the ending battle to me felt so rushed.
Oh, it
was like, boom, it's over.
Yes. I feel like she should have. I feel like 6 and the Scorched Roses was like the most perfect length for any. So I feel like she could have just. I feel it. To me, the second book felt a little repetitive with things. Meaning they would go into battle and lose, and then we gotta like get our troops back together and let's go back into battle, and then they would lose, and then they do the same thing over and over like 3 times, and I'm like, okay, obviously towards the end of the book you guys are gonna like win. It's obvious. It just felt a little repetitive, and I feel like things could have just been a little cut out, and it still would have been good.
Yeah, I honestly, it's been a hot sec since I read the second book. I mean, it hasn't been too long, but I can't even remember a lot of what happened the first 40% of the second book, because everything I remember and loved was the last 25%.
There's lots of political things.
And just like her talking about how much she hates Rain and her trying to overcome, which I will say by the end of the book I really appreciated how she was kind of Araya.
Shall we listen to
Yeah,
Carissa
actually,
Broadbent,
because I would like
pronounce all the names.
I would like to say her name right, because
Let's
I
see
say
if-
Araya.
All of the names are so hard for me to pronounce.
So, for example,
pretty death called the
Kajari.
Our main character is Araya, and her partner slash enemy slash knife to throat partner is Rain.
so Rain. Oraya. Okay, now this one, I was listening to this with Mikayla when we were shooting a wedding together. This one threw me for a loop. For some reason, Rain's best friend, the girl, I thought it was Mish.
So
How did you guys pronounce her name?
Same.
Well, I listened to this before I started
okay.
the books.
Yeah, so in my mind, it was Mish. But she pronounces it this way.
Stuff that falls from the sky. And he has a good friend whose name is Misha.
Misha.
Would have never gotten that. But I know some of you are going to be listening going, you're so dumb that you didn't know that. it's kind of hard to know in books.
I have the hardest time pronouncing things.
So Misha, and then Vincent is the same. I mean, there's like all the different names of like the side characters and everything, but
there we go.
There we go.
Misha.
Okay, Aurea. I
burped, I think. Okay, sorry.
I appreciated that by the end of the book, Aurea was kind of like, I am not going to be this little thing that they think they can step on. I'm going to be this powerful, badass woman that these vampires are afraid of. And she was that by the end of the book. And I loved that. And I know she had to have all of those feelings about her dad in order to get there. But it just felt a little long.
Yeah, it just dragged a little too long. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with what you said. It made the ending of the book a lot more emotional for me as a reader.
For sure. Should we talk about our overall rating of the 3 books? Actually, you want to know what? Let's give our rating for each book. Okay. Shall we do that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so my rating of The Serpent and the Wings of Night was 5 stars.
Same.
4.
Okay. My rating for 6 Scorched Roses was 5.
5.
And my rating for Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, I believe, was 4 stars.
Same.
4.
There you go. Do we want to expand on any of that?
I mean, I will say, I hadn't read a ton of other fantasy books. So, like, at the beginning of this year, so it's what, September?
Mm-hmm.
My very first adult fantasy novel was ACOTAR, and I started that in January of this year. And then it was like, I read Throne of Glass. And then...
Okay.
I think if it's not my second, it's my third or something like that. Fantasy author that I'm reading as an adult right now. And I just remember kind of feeling like the high from reading SJM and worried that I was going to be let down by starting this new world and journey, especially with it being vampires and it's not fae men. I was just like, I was a little nervous, but I loved the first book because I didn't feel like the start of it was all this world building. The second book kind of felt just like so much politics for so long, like we just talked about, and it dragged, but I didn't feel that way at all. I was worried I was going to be like waiting 150 pages before I got into the book, but I was thoroughly entertained the entire time. And by the end of it, like I just was like getting whiplash and I loved it. So it was a 5-star for me. I also feel like the novella was like I haven't read a lot of novellas, but I thought that was just the most perfect novella I've ever read.
I agree.
It was like the perfect pace. I loved the characters. I thought the plot was really interesting. I loved it. So
I enjoyed the novella.
I would have rated Ashes and Star-Cursed King 5 stars if the beginning wasn't so freaking slow.
Well, and it's interesting to compare the 2 novels, not the novella, how fast-paced the first one felt, and it was just all this action. They're in the Kajari, and you just get right into it. There wasn't really a lot of world building and whatnot, and people are dying, and it's this brutal world. And then you get to the second book, and you're just kind of like, okay, nothing's really going on. So I just think it was hard to go from this really fast-paced novel to something that was a little bit slower, and we'd come to know this world as like this dark, brutal, everybody's dying, and not that it wasn't dark and brutal still, but I just think there wasn't as much going on.
Yeah, I feel like it started getting interesting when they went to that city of Vincent's like cousin. Was that's when things kind of started getting interesting for me.
Yeah. But where Vincent was born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where and he lived. They were all supposed to be dead, but there's a relative that's still alive.
Can we talk about how weird that was?
Oh, so weird.
Oh, see, I had a hard. There was a lot of things in these books that I was just kind of like, oh.
It was so gory.
But the worst was all of the little children vampires in her house.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I hated reading that. I was trying to skim because it was grossing me out.
She turned all these children. Yeah.
Yeah, that was just a weird I mean, it made it more entertaining for sure, but it was just a weird. I just look back and I think about what I all read during that, and yeah, I feel like the entire time my jaw was just like, what am I reading right now?
Yeah.
It was just it was very interesting for sure. I don't know how I feel about it, but I mean, that's like the place where I texted Reggie and Kennedy about when Rain just like pushed her off the ledge.
Like, see ya.
I was like, he just pushed her.
She has wings.
She has wings.
But I will say the thing I loved most about Rain was that never once did he doubt her throughout anything. Like in the Kajari, no matter what, he was literally her biggest cheerleader. And I think the reason why I was so frustrated was because there was no ounce of me that thought Rain was truly evil. There was no ounce of me that was like, he did what he had to do. Like, he loved her and he would do anything for her. And I think that's why I was so frustrated with Aurea, was because I knew deep down he wasn't trying to be malicious towards her.
Yeah. I guess I was you guys that haven't read a book where you've been betrayed. So I was questioning it a little bit, but then it started out, I think the second chapter was Rain's perspective, and I was like, okay, he's fine, he's good. But I've been betrayed.
Oh, I thought we were getting betrayed a little bit, because that's why I felt like I was getting whiplash at the end of the book. The first one, I was like, wait, now this, now that, and I almost thought that the next book was going to be her battling him and maybe finding love elsewhere. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I feel like there were some like I forget the word, where the author kind of gave us a little hints,
like foreshadowing,
that he was like something important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I was like, I kind of was like, oh, that's what all of these like little hints mean, when he did like come alive, become the heir of
the marked heir.
I was like, oh, this all makes sense. Because Vincent warned her. There was the other creepy guy, I forget his name,
the bloodborne
Bloodmark.
No, the other vampire
the guy
from the other
that
place.
Smokes.
Yeah,
that smokes a lot.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Hate him. But he was. Yeah, there was just like a few small hints. I was like, something has to be bigger with Rain.
But did you guys see the fact that Aurea was the marked heir?
No.
I was flabbergasted when Vincent dies and all of a sudden she's the marked heir, and I'm like,
okay, here's my question for you, because this is why I was having such a hard time when you guys were reading this. I could not remember at what point during these books you find out that, is it when he dies?
When Vincent dies.
That she is his daughter.
Yeah, when he dies.
Okay.
Because it had to be like in the bloodline.
Okay, well, yeah, that's what I thought. But I was like, I can't remember. From what you guys were telling me from when you read it, I couldn't tell. But I didn't want to be like, well, yeah, like, it's his blood daughter. Like,
yeah.
I was trying to remember. I was like, does it not say anything about that until, or you're like questioning it? Anyways.
Well, I kind of question it when they both have silver eyes.
Okay.
He like, she has his eyes. So I was like,
I didn't really think too hard about it until like the end. But I was wondering, I was like, there's got to be a reason he didn't kill her. But my mind didn't I almost felt like it maybe felt too obvious to be like, oh, it's his real daughter.
I was convinced that Aurea was actually she had something to do with the Hijaj clan.
I thought so too.
Because I thought that he just kidnapped her from her family, killed her family because she had something to do with being the opposing Nightborn clan's heir or something. So I did not see the fact that he was actually her blood daughter.
I thought that was it too.
Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't think that.
So the whole first book, I'm texting Reggie being like, because Mikayla hadn't been reading it at this point, and I'm like, Vincent is evil. Vincent is the worst. I hate him. He's gonna turn out to be so evil.
I still think he is a little.
Well,
so
let me tell you what I think about Vincent. I'm in love with that man.
That's so interesting to me.
It was just, and it wasn't like there was. It's just like something. It's just like he's the bad boy that I just kind of am like, I have a crush on you. Here's the thing. I had a feeling from the beginning that he genuinely did love her. That's why I was like kind of trying to. I wasn't trying to think about it too hard, but I was like, because you hear how brutal he is to these people around and how easy it is for him to just like kill somebody. And I'm like, if it's just that easy for him, why is he keeping this girl around? If he genuinely hated her, why is he helping her train to do this and this and this? I don't know. But I don't know. I found a lot of people when I went and looked at the reviews after I read the book that felt the same as me, that there's just something about Vincent that was just like, ooh, bad boy, handsome bad boy energy that we love. So I love me some Daddy Vincent.
I really wish I could say that. I feel
he's terrible. He was still terrible. He did like some of the things he did. I was like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. But I was like, I'll love you anyways.
I think he loved her, but not a way a parent should actually love.
Oh.
Because he held her back so much.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, he taught her entire life that she was like this little thing and that she needed to always be afraid and always be, and that's not the case at all because she was actually very powerful. And so I feel like I just always had a weird feeling that I was like, he loved her, but not enough to, you know, like, I don't know. I just relate to my own parents where my parents would never say things like that to me.
And maybe it's because deep down he was threatened by her because of how powerful she potentially could have been.
Yeah.
And overthrown him as the king.
And I also think that he knew, because of how powerful he was, I think it was in his mind his way of trying to protect her from herself. But you know that never really works out.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I guess I just didn't feel any connection to Vincent.
I didn't really either.
Like, it was, I don't know, it was weird. I guess I just like Rain through and through. Like,
Me too.
Vincent is not even like on my radar.
Honestly, it sounds horrible, but like, I wasn't that sad when he died.
No, I wasn't sad
I was
either.
devastated.
I did not cry when he died, but when Rain died, I was sobbing. Also, you know, this book wouldn't have been a thing had she just wished one simple thing. Why did she have to wish that he won? Why couldn't she just wish him back to life?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
I'm like,
you
just got to change the way you phrase that, and then your dad would still be alive.
I almost wonder if it was because she wanted him to be able to use, but she didn't know what his wish would be. If he were to, does that make sense?
Yeah.
But because
in my head,
was totally blindsided.
In my head, as soon as she won, I'm like, oh, she's just gonna wish him back to life.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And then she's like, I wish Rain would have won. And I'm like,
well, I think at that point she was also questioning that bond that she was going to be doing with Vincent.
Mm-hmm.
And in order for her to do that bond, she had to win. And so I think in the forefront of her mind, I don't think she was ready to, I forget what it's called.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And so I think that's why she phrased it him winning, because I think because Rain was slowly putting in her mind like that's not a good idea.
Well, if she would have wished him back to life, that would have been her wish, and she couldn't have had the bond with Vincent anyway.
Well, no, her winning gives her powers, not just also
I thought she just got
too.
I thought she got whatever wish she wanted from Nyaxia. She got one wish from Nyaxia.
I don't know. I can't remember. I thought you got some type of power, but I could be completely wrong. I can't remember.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a few things, especially when Rain died. I was like, why don't you just phrase it, just make him alive?
But then the whole second book wouldn't have happened, and then, you know, she had to write it that way.
Also, let's talk about the fact that he literally, like, killed himself. Like, he forced her to kill him.
Yeah.
Like, what a man.
Wait, are you guys talking about Rain dying in the first book or the second book?
First.
Okay. Yeah.
Which time?
Which time?
Which time? Which, actually, let's talk about that. I was a wreck when he was going to die the second time.
I thought he was actually going to die.
Things just felt a little too predictable for me.
Okay.
From, like, other books.
Yeah.
So, I knew he was going to live. I did.
So what were your guys' favorite? Should you do favorites or least faves first?
Let's do favorites, but I don't want to go first.
Okay, I'll start with one.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Well, I have a few things I could say. I genuinely just loved the whole ending of the first book with the final trial. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
The trial, the final one. I just thought it was so fun to read. Like, I literally was reading it you think I was at a tennis match. My head was just like all over the place. I loved it because I had no idea what was going to happen. And there were just so many bombs dropped that it was just like, I remember like sitting on my couch and then I'd be like, oh, and then I'd be like, my husband kept being like, what is going on? I really enjoyed the journey of reading that last part. And then the feeling I got when I like closed the book and I was like, oh, this is going to be really interesting. It just really was disappointing to start the second book and feel like, ugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one of the reasons that book to me was like a 5-star, because the overall experience at the end of that book was so fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked it.
So, I mean, I have more faves I can share, but you guys can take a turn.
I really just liked the banter. It was just really fun. I love, like, the only thing I didn't like, he always said,
There she is.
There she is.
It was
there
so
she
overdone.
Is. Overdone. And then, how do you say X's tits?
X's tits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, can we say something different? It was just, there was just a few words that were just like overdone. But besides that, I loved the banter. I loved like them just being like arrogant a-holes to each other and just like giving, I don't know. It was just really good. Also, or should I say, my favorite part was when she was about to go into the tunnel to get the God's blood. And he was about to go to and he said like, I love you. And like, I just wanted to say that to you before we left. And I was like,
she doesn't say it back to him, does she?
I don't think she does.
I don't think she did at that point.
And I was like, please let them get back together. So, but I was like, I know it's gonna happen. But yeah, that was probably my all-time favorite part. Like I like stopped and I remember this exactly. It's at the bottom of a page. And I literally like read it and I was like, and then I reread like that paragraph and I was like, I would say that's probably like my favorite part because I feel like I can just remember where it is on the page. How I felt after reading. I was like, oh my gosh, he said it. Because you know they've been thinking it for a long time,
so long,
and it's just never been vocalized. And so I was like, it happened, you know. So
I think, well, I have two kind of favorite parts, one for each book. One of the parts that's obviously I loved the trials, loved the banter, but just to say something different, I don't know why I'm a sucker for this, but like mind-to-mind communication just really makes me so happy. And there's the one trial where they communicate with their minds.
Oh,
I just really love that. I just think it's such a fun little touch, and it's just to be able to see like how well they fought together and how it just was really cool to me. In the second book, I know Reggie really liked this part. If you listen to last week's episode, she compared it to chapter 54 of Akamov. I don't agree with it.
It's the exact same, but like it just evokes a similar. I don't really know how to explain it without having you know.
Yeah. It's the part where I don't know where they're at.
They're at his apartment.
And she's healing his wings. And he basically just like tells her everything he knows about her mom. And that was just like a really sweet moment. I teared up, cried a little. It was just really sweet, and I loved it. And there's something about like enemies to lovers when like they get hurt, and then the other one like is healing them, and it's just like this moment where they come together, and she's like, I hate you. Yes, the song.
That song would have been perfect for that moment.
Yes. And she heals him, and then they like bond. It's just, you know, it's a healing trope.
Drink each other's blood.
Oh yeah.
I literally was sobbing during that part. That's the chapter I've talked about in the past. I don't know if I was talking about that specific chapter. Like I said, what book, where I was driving in the car with my husband, and I was in the passenger seat, and I was like, he was like, okay. I feel really tight with my parents. I'm not saying I have like the most incredible relationship with my parents in the entire world, but there's just like, I just am a sucker for anything that has to deal with family and books, because you get a lot of romance in books, you know, guy loves girl, girl loves guy, whatever. But when there's like a sibling involved, a parent involved, there's just something that just really like pulls at my heartstrings. And so yeah, him showing everything about her mom, he's like, I've been working on this, it just showed how much he really loved her. And she's had so many questions for so long about her mom and her life and all of those things, that I was just like, to have all of that, I just thought it was so sweet. And I also just really loved sorry, were you done talking about that? Just the end when she's in the tunnel thing, I don't know how to explain the
It's
place.
a ruin, right?
Yeah, the ruin thing. And she's like kind of seeing the past, and Vincent's there like guiding her through it. I was like she just needed that closure with him. And I think as a reader, I needed that closure as well. And so, I loved it so much. So I can see myself rereading these books again just one day.
I also really liked, this is a shout out, when she got her wings and he's like massaging her back.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I was like, where are my wings? It's just really funny that I feel like Faye, at least most people write their wings being super sensitive, and same, at least Carissa decided to write vampires to also have like their wings being sensitive and being like, you know, the nerve endings on their wings. And so I was like, props to you guys, because we don't have those.
I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
So
is that all your guys' faves for the most part?
I mean, for Six Scorched Roses, genuinely, I just liked the whole book for the most part.
Yeah.
But I do vividly remembering when Lilith is being cornered. She gets cornered in the forest by all those men who want to, like, you know, do nasty things to her. And all of a sudden Vale comes and just like saves her. And I just remember reading this part, and I'm like, Vale's gonna come and save her. I just know it. I just know it. And then all of a sudden there was a certain line where I don't remember what happens, and he comes and saves her, and I was just like, yeah.
It reminded me of Beauty and the Beast a little bit.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, obviously the roses, the grumpy guy in the mansion, small town girl, you know, making
loves
her way
to read, loves books.
Yeah.
And doesn't love, you know, trying to say.
Yeah. No, that was a good part.
And I just love that Lilith's whole thing was that she wanted to save everybody in her city, and I just think it was so good.
I think my favorite part in that book was when Vale asked her, do you want to live? And I was like, yes, you do. You do. You want to be with him.
And it's so funny to me because he was all the men, not as much Rain, but like I feel like Vale was presented as this ruthless, vicious, and that's kind of what you get at the first from him. And then at the end, he was all about like, do you want this? Is this what you want? And he was just so sweet and tender to her. So it was kind of cool to see him go from one end of the spectrum to
I
the
knew
other.
he was going to be a big teddy bear. From the moment he let her take his blood, I was like, really?
Softie.
You softie.
See, let's ask. Okay, you have to rank Vincent, Rain, Vale.
Rain, Vale,
Rank them,
Vincent.
Yeah. Same. Same. For some reason, I thought
I mean,
maybe
I know
you'd put
Vincent's
Vincent
not
before.
like a love interest. It wasn't that I was like in love with him and I was like I'd smash him like over the other. It was just like I just felt this weird connection to Vincent, and it was just like, ooh, Daddy Vincent. I don't know why he was making me feel a little hot and bothered, but I was into it. So
I love that for you.
You were
Love
into it.
Love it.
I feel like we've kind of already discussed least faves, but is there anything you guys want to mention?
The whole first 40% of the second book. I still stand by that.
Honestly, I'm just confused by everything that happened.
Also, this isn't like a least fave part, but like from my senses, it was a least fave part when they're freaking going through the tunnels with all the poop.
Oh,
All I could smell was poop. Just poop.
I
I'm
literally.
like, oh my gosh. And then when they get everybody and they escape and they have to go back through the poop, and then they finally get a bath.
Oh,
I was like, that bath probably felt so
and they're
good.
all like wanting to do stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, you should probably just like really, really get clean.
But like that bath probably felt
So good.
amazing.
Honestly, I want to take a shower after I read it.
The way I was picturing it in my brain, like, just sounds like the most. It just the way I pictured it, I'm like, this looks like the most.
The way she
heavenly
described it.
Yeah, because it was like glowy, like. Loved.
But the poop, also the way she described that, she's like so thick.
No.
Yeah.
The poop.
I can't.
Mm-mm. You know, I like to think I could go into these fantasy worlds and survive. I draw the line at poop. Like swimming through poop, okay? I can't.
This was probably
Trigger warning for this episode.
Poop.
I feel like it was one of the most gory books
yeah,
for sure.
I've read.
Well, like, it talks about, like, having all the people's heads on the spears and, like, yeah, I couldn't.
It's just, blood is just such a, it's not a taboo conversation, and it's like, it's so natural in that world. Constant blood. Where's human blood? My blood is black. Yours is red. Mine's a mix of black and red. And yeah, so it was very gory. I sometimes just had to like kind of block my brain from creating this movie. I feel like they would have a really hard time making this into a movie.
It would for sure be like R or HBO would have to.
Yeah,
or you
pick it
just
up.
have to really, like, not show a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I do think that the fact that it was so gory made the world just feel that much more harsh, and I think that she probably wanted that for it to feel just really brutal, which, not that I enjoyed the gore, but it was not cool, but it was interesting just to feel, because you think about like Corinthian and it kind of just feels like I know it's brutal, but you just kind of feel like it's
There's still, like, a
fairies and magic,
yeah.
and then you go to this world and it's like, I just picture, obviously they're always in the dark, like it's always dark, it's bloody, it's lit by night fire, and it just felt so much more like heavy.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to address this with you guys. I had such a hard time imagining all of these scenes in the dark.
Yeah.
I had a hard time, like, I'm glad she constantly reminded us that, like, the sun is rising. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would be a hard life
That's what's
to live.
hard with, like, if you were to watch a movie of it.
It would just be super dark.
Yeah. Which, speaking of movies, anyways, let's get into fan cast, shall we?
Can I just be honest with you guys for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I don't have one for Rain.
I don't either. Actually. Or no, wait. No, I kind of have one for Rain. I don't have one for Vincent.
I just had a really, really hard time picturing him, and I know that his hair is dark red, almost black. But he was just so hard for me to picture. And then I would see fan art, and I feel like the fan art, number one, there's not a lot of fan art. So all of you people who can draw and paint and whatever, please make some fan art. all the fan art was so vastly different. I just had a really hard time picturing him, and I just feel like any guy that I saw that I was like, oh, he could work, just wasn't exactly what I wanted. So
yeah,
I don't
and
have
one thing that was disappointing to me was I went to Carissa's love you, Carissa, her page, and she has this artist she works with a lot, I guess, or just loves. So she will repost the fan art that this girl posts, and her Rain fan art, she was like raving over. She's like, this is perfect, it's so good. And I thought it was the worst fan art I had ever seen.
Yeah,
He looks too happy, and like I just did not love it.
not my fave, but
I mean, I love the one I posted to our story today to get people's responses. This one.
yeah, that's a good one.
I do love that. I had a hard time thinking of someone, but I'll tell you who I picked. And I've said his name before, but he popped up as, like, I was Googling, like, something, I don't know. And his face popped up, and I was like, wait. It's hard to picture him with, like, the dark hair, but his character, just picturing him say, there she is. And Dacre Montgomery.
He's on Stranger Things.
Stranger Things that plays
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Billy.
For some reason, I just feel like he's short.
Too short?
Yeah. Like, I picture Rain being like
Oh, yeah, he's got to be tall.
6.
That one was a stretch for me.
I could see
it. It was either
With
that
his
or
little
Henry
earring.
Cavill. And how many times have we heard that? So, I mean, Henry Cavill, would he be perfect? Probably.
Henry Cavill could be any fantasy man. Let's just be
He
honest.
really could.
Yeah.
He's just the epitome of,
Big, beefy, gruffly, rugged man.
yes, we love him.
Do you have one, Mikayla?
Yeah. Stephen R. McQueen. He's from Vampire Diaries. He looks young in this, but I know he's older.
Okay.
I feel like he's gone underground since Vampire Diaries, but I feel like if you just slap a red wig on him.
That's Elena's brother, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He gets freaking jacked in the show, and I know he's tall. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like he could be good. I don't know. It's just hard to... Rain's a hard character to assign to an actor.
And also, I just feel like
All
Okay.
right.
we've got
Vincent?
Araya.
Araya?
Let's do Araya.
I picked Daisy Ridley
Oh.
from Star Wars.
Oh, hold on.
Because you were saying, Kennedy, like, I'm trying to picture someone with, like,
Oh,
a
she
baby
plays.
face.
Okay.
I feel like she kind of, I don't know.
I
can
could
just
see it.
her, just from her performance in Star Wars, I can see her be a very good Araya. I was trying to find someone with, like, darker hair and maybe, I don't know, darker
I like that.
eyes. But as far as, like, someone acting the part really well, I feel like she would be fantastic.
She would be good. I chose. Her name is Marie Avgeropoulos.
Do you have a picture?
She's Octavia Blake on the 100.
Oh, yeah.
I did go with her.
Oh.
She's just
She
like-
would be good.
Yeah. And her character in the 100 is kind of like just this like bad A. She's really angsty, so I think she could do a good job.
Mine's Dove Cameron.
She's an option for sure.
I think she could just nail
Yeah.
it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, she would be good.
I feel like she just got that little bit of like a pretty face, but I feel like she could just be a little viper.
Yeah, I like that.
A little serpent.
A little serpent. I like that. That's cute. Okay.
And I know she's shorter, so I think it could be. I don't know.
I think it could be good.
Looks wise, yeah. I don't know. Acting wise, I feel like it'd be a tough role.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, Vincent. I'm basic. I'm sorry, Henry Cavill. Moving on.
I
Reggie.
love that one though.
I know.
I
but-
really couldn't think of anyone. This is my problem. While I was reading this book, because it was about vampires, and the last vampire book I had read was Twilight. Everyone was Twilight characters to me. So, like, Vincent was Carlisle, and Misha was Alice, and like everyone was, yeah. So I mean, at first when I was like trying to create my fan cast, I was like, ooh, maybe we put Robert Pattinson as Vincent. And then I was just like, I just can't. We do not need to put that man through another vampire movie. So anyways, I don't really have one for Vincent.
I picked Joseph Morgan. He is why can I not think of his name from Vampire Diaries?
He's Klaus.
Klaus.
He would be a good Vale.
Vampire Diaries.
Oh, he would.
He would be a good Vale too.
Vampire Diaries.
Don't get me started on my Vale pick.
My Vale pick, I actually really love him. So
I stole Reggie's Vale pick.
Who's your Vale pick?
It's Ben Barnes. He's
like
in Shadow and Bones.
Oh, I know. Okay, I could see him being. Yeah,
Ooh,
I could see him being
yeah.
Vale.
I think he would be just a good Vale.
Ooh, I like him.
Yeah.
My Vale, and I don't know what it was. The second I wish I had the physical book. The second he was introduced, I don't know what it was, the way it described him. I was like, oh, it's Tom Hiddleston.
I like that.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But he was Tom Hiddleston to me. So
Yeah, I liked that. I like both of your Vales. I had Tom Hiddleston, but I do really like Klaus.
yeah, I like.
Yeah, I like Klaus.
I like that one for.
I like that. Okay.
For Vincent.
For Lilith,
I
did
do
Emma
her.
Stone.
Me too.
Shut up.
Yeah, I think
Me
she'd be good.
too.
Okay, now Misha.
I picked the girl that was on Riverdale, Vanessa Morgan, that plays why can't I think of the character's name? Her name in Riverdale. She's the one. She's in the biker gang.
Yeah.
She's got like the really cool hair.
Yeah.
She dates the girl with the red hair.
Yes.
Yes.
You know who
I know
I'm
who you're
talking
talking about.
Yeah.
For my Misha, I chose Anya Chalotra. She's in The Witcher. More looks wise.
Oh, I feel
This is exactly who I pictured, like kind of how I pictured her to look. I haven't watched a ton of The Witcher, but I know her character is like very somber, at least in the episodes I've seen. So I don't know if she could be like this high energy Misha vibes, but looks wise, I thought she would be good. So
I don't have anyone for her, so but I really like your guys' picks. I feel like they both do a good job.
Can I tell you guys my pick for Septimus?
yeah, that's the guy that smokes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Jamie Campbell Bower. He was on Stranger Things. He plays the what's his bucket name? This guy.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Ooh.
I can't think what his name is in the show, but I don't also feel like it's kind of a spoiler. So
Yeah, that's a good one.
yeah.
Dang.
I was picturing he just has that kind of like look to him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
love
that.
that.
That was good.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening about our thoughts on the Serpents and the Wings of the Night. We enjoyed reading the series. It was fun to talk about. Fun fan cast. If you guys have any fan casts that you guys want to...
Anyone perfect for Rain or Vincent?
Yeah. Anyone we looked over, let us know, because on TikTok there's not a lot of fan casts. So maybe we should...
We need to post one.
We should post our fan casts, and maybe we'll get some I don't know, some fan casts out there.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll see you next week.
Love ya.
Bye.